Welcome to the January 8th, 2022 Journal of Expressive Writing Open Mic, and our special reading tonight with featured poet, Nigerian poet, Ojo Olumide Emmanuel. And we're so glad that you're here with us tonight from Nigeria, where it is 9 p.m. and we're seeing you in your really theatrical setting, spotlighted. Perfect. And we were definitely I'm going to introduce you and we're going to meet you very, very soon. So glad that Ojo is going to read his poetry to us for 10 to 15 minutes. And then I'm going to do a Q&A. We're going to talk a little bit, have some discussion. The chat room's open for the whole time. So please feel free, if he reads a line that you really appreciate, tell him in the chat room and ask questions if you have a question there. And in the meantime, I want to introduce a really special and important person here, Jen Minotti, who is the founder and the editor of the Journal of Expressive Writing, who has said yes to this, creating this open mic program and featured writer program. So I just want to give Jen a minute to say hello and Happy New Year to everybody. Jen?
Thank you, Kelly. Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you today. So first and foremost, I want to take this opportunity to thank Kelly. She's our producer and host for the Journal's Open Mic. I want to thank Ojo Olumide Emmanuel, our featured author, who, as you know, is joining us from all the way from Nigeria. And That was 2 years ago now, and it was just 2 months after COVID shut everything down. And many people were feeling and continue to feel isolated and disconnected. And so I imagined the Journal of Expressive Writing as a place where we connect across time zones, and to do so that we could share our expressive writing. I never, ever imagined sitting here with you all today, hearing your stories out loud and live. So I want to thank Kelly for setting all of this in motion. So the inspiration for the Journal of Expressive Writing came from my work facilitating women's writing circles. And what I love so much about facilitating women's writing circles is that I'm lucky enough to be able to witness people finding their voices, and not only finding their voices, but then generously sharing their voices with all of us. And so that's really the vision for the journal. It's a place where I could publish people's voices, and it's a place, it's an entry point for connection and deeper understanding of one another. And especially in this time, as we know, it's a very, very difficult time. So I want to thank you all for being here. I want to mention that Ojo has 2 pieces that are published in the Journal of Expressive Writing. They're just beautiful and brilliant, and I will post the link to them. And once again, I want to thank Kelly. I want to thank Katerina for helping us facilitate today. Ojo, our featured writer, the 20 readers who are going to be sharing their work, and really, most importantly, all of you here today as audience members, because words need an audience, and I'm so grateful that you're here to listen to these wonderful stories today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jen. We appreciate that. And Katerina will be posting, just so you will know, if she hasn't already, into the chat room, the
you
order.
Get that mailing off, let me know, okay?
And just make sure to mute everybody except myself and Ojo right now. And thank you. I'm going to share my screen. All righty. Here we are, Saturday, January 8th. I'm Kelly Dumar, by the way. I don't usually forget to introduce myself, but here I am. I really like to open our gathering because this really is a gathering of a community. So many of you come on a regular basis and read, and we all need community so much right now, near, far. We have a beautiful international community here. And I like to open with a poem as part of our thinking about us being together as a kind of a ceremony. And I've chosen the poem today, Assurance by William Stafford. You will never be alone. You hear so deep a sound when autumn comes. Yellow pulls across the hills and thrums, or the silence after lightning before it says its names. And then the clouds' wide-mouthed apologies. You were aimed from birth. You will never be alone. Rain will come, a gutter filled, an Amazon, long aisles. You never heard so deep a sound. Moss on rock and years. You turn your head. That's what the silence meant. You're not alone. The whole wide world pours down. Well, thank you, William Stafford, for that opening. One of the things that endears me to Ojo in getting to know him and his work after having been introduced to him via Jen Minotti is the way that Ojo is so much of a literary servant, and he cares about literary community, all kinds of community, but mentoring is a big value of his, from what I can tell, mentoring people specifically with their writing, and also encouraging people, this really strong voice of encouragement. So this is something that he has said and written: be not afraid of taking that next step in life. What you are afraid of is afraid of you too. If I'm to give you one solid piece of advice this night, it is that you should never allow your situation or anyone to deter you from reaching your goals.
Wow. I'm surprised. Where did you get it from? Oh my God.
Oh,
Wow.
I snuck around, Ojo. I snuck around in your life a little bit. Let me introduce him to you, and then he's going to read for us. Another thing he says that I think will help us each maybe just give us a little bit of a way in to his work tonight. We might be inspired to be thinking about another thing that Ojo says is that poetry is an outlet for reincarnation and a place where one can always find a phoenix. This gives you an idea of where his poems may take us. Ojo Olumide Emmanuel is a Nigerian poet, playwright, and book editor. He's the author of the poetry collection Supplication for Years in Sands by Polisphere Books, 2021. He was longlisted for the Poet in Nigeria Student Poetry Prize in 2020, and he was shortlisted for the Aroha Students Playwriting Prize in 2020. He's the winner of the Poetry Tuesday Writer of the Month, February 2021. His works have appeared and are forthcoming at the Journal of Expressive Writing, Postgrad Journal, Art Lounge, New York, Feral, Shallow Tales Review, Quills, Poets in Nigeria, PIN, Only, Melbourne Culture, TNR, and elsewhere. He currently curates the monthly Wakaso Prize for Poetry and Abubakar Gimba Prize for Short Fiction. He's also an assistant editor at the Nigerian Review in the teen interview section and an alumnus of the Spring Writers Fellowship. Thank you for being here with us, Ojo. We look forward to hearing what you have to tell us.
Okay, I'm going to read from my book, and I'm going to take the poem, the one that was the titular poem for the book, Supplication for Years in Sands. I begin my supplication from the years I crawled and the year I mouthed dust. For those who know a story or two and found my beards pastured with gray. I bow my head like a night flower in reverence. I make supplication for the few nights I convulsed, and mom's new wrapper held the gag of my greeting rattling teeth. Love dies only in the heart that refuses to nurture it. I water, I fertilize, I sing, I sun, I moon, I dance, all in the name of Mother whose melody quenches thirst. I make supplication for those who sighted a glowing moon in my heart. They saw it halved, prayed it full, bloomed it with light, a bulb for the universe. I make supplication for the years of sands where remembrance will only sprout from the deeds not forgotten, where memories from this leaflet are epistles of memories forgone. That's the first poem. Then I want to read a poem, and it's titled The Poet, Poems About Joy. The Poet, Poems About Joy. You learn to sing alone when those you always hear grow sore throat. Your mouth, your voice is crooked, yet you let it out like little yells escaping a faraway room. That's how little miracles are counted with fingers. Your best years are afloat like balloons, doing air stunts like falcons, ravens, and sparrows. These years are with sobs. You run your head on a disk of past years, and your past appears nude before you with riptides. Your lost pages stare you in the face with blank scorecards. You glide your tears into an handkerchief and take joy as a balm that soothes all in Gilead. I also will read a love poem, and it is titled Portrait of a Crush. She begins your sketch from her lips, pink and red, glossy like a flaming amber. Paint a tip of smile. You always need it when songs break a bone thought. Pencil a pinch of nose above her lips. Be sure the nostril do not part like quarreling lovers. Ensure they cuddle. Set your brush on the color palette. Climb the hill above her nose. Paint two golden apples with empty sockets. Ensure there is a drainage path because there are days I must rain. Set two dark ridges above her eye. Remember she will always need mirror and brush for light weeding and sharing. The size of her ears can be how long you intend it to cleave to stories. Medium, two thin flaps. Brace her chin with milk. Pencil a shy dimple by each side of her face. Ensure it can hold views. Her shoulders should be succulent. Paint a chubby chest with a rich milk field. Down to her navel, leave out the part with asylum for men Fugees. And when you are done, do not spray it in the sun. Ask her how she feels. That's another one. Let me pick another poem, and it is titled The Tail End of Prayers. The Tail End of Prayers. I kowtow if you know what it means to be layers, folded, piled like the best of a laundryman's ironing. I am the pieces of many lips, stuttering prayers pressed on every side of their alveolar like his ironing. If you are looking for scars written into maps, keep your eyes closed and look deep into mine. There, you will find maps written in scar language like rubbles of dice. If you think the sky is far away from your finger, try sketching it blindly in your heart. Watch how helpless moon becomes in your finger. You can stroke her head as you like a wretch. If at the tail end of your prayers, you no longer can reach down your throat for some last jabs of words, I trade all what you've said in rebuttal, rich in the vocabs of scar language, reboot without words. Let me pick another one, and it is titled Oscillations on the Boughs of Trees. Oscillations on the Boughs of Tree. A new day begins with a spill of rain. So does age cringe through a severe bone, lips hollow with moms like guilt of bitter confession. Everything seems heavenly until darkness doors our rooms. If you scrum the lines again, you shall witness light sitting by an edge. There are voices in the letterings of silence. The beginning fricative noises to Venus brings back applause for the years of dogged pull through the glint of limiting height. Throw chatters on the bow and you'll find your ears reaping the harvest of cheers for the walls of dreams forth through the wrestling jabs of perseverance. Let me look through again. I want to read one in my language. I'm Yoruba, so I hope you do understand. It's a love poem too. It is titled Adon. Shades of glowing morning sun, scent of fragrance baking my mood, peaches of rare cologne, tulip of white ecstasies. Time to sing the songs of the soul, orchestrate orchestras in tambourines and timbrel, an erratic matutinal motion for Foluke, a perfection beyond the river goddess. When I wake up in the morning, I mutter Mojisola. Afternoon expresses a mount gaze of Omotola. She spreads her grace and soft soul, putting it as Folaromi and Temidire. She's an emissary of God like Ifeoluwa, forming a wave that changed my ways like Omotoke. I would have loved to call her Abosede if we had met on a bright Sunday morning. So I choose to call her Adon, whether Adon or Adon. She means sweetness. She means sweetness than honeycomb, pleasant than the taste of sycamore. For a child that tastes the sweetness of honey will never long or crave for cake. She sighs with joy, making her bukumi, giving me what to care about in Anike. She gets me love provoked towards Folashade, so I decline and stay to my Busayo. Now simple to me than algebra, nicely complicated than trigonometry. When she borrows me twins, I will name them Oladimeji. For a boy, Olauton will be his identity, and a girl, I'll profess Oyindamola to her, for she is my Adun and her Adun. Forever she gives me dews of joy like Fumilayo. So you see, I did a marriage between English and my local language. So that's one. Then I will read another poem. It is titled Scarab, Scarab. From the three of words do men lips forgotten tales, tales of history foretold, of thoughts casted on ice, like pebbles are fleeing the river of men seeking solace in trees. Trees grown from the sands in their mouth, watered by the sea in the fountain of their hearts. The tree in that mouth once sprouted a giant fruit, and the fruit was fear. Of this fruit immortal, the terror in man is a tripartite twine of the sin, not sin, and end. Man eats from the sin, the unseen eats man, and the end is the same. Everything ends in the pot, and the pot ends in no one. That's Kirab. Then I want to read another one, and it is titled Sheds and Remnants of My Skin, Sheds and Remnants of My Skin. When the cloud gathered above our heads last night, two canaries stopped. Two canaries stared at me. You need not look at the cloud to know it will rain. You search it out. The tummy knows its frame. After drinking so much water from the grave, the corpses living there all know my voice. A lip fell off my mouth and a gentle breeze carried it into those places I walked to in my head. Most of us carry many broken things inside, like dismembered ties. When we walk, it is in the boldness that our carcasses cannot break again. We will fare knowing our pitchers are dry of tears. That said, humans are vocal dust, walking muds, and sparkling jars of memory. Some are broken dawns, others mad beyond patch. Many like me are bottles, rubbles, and dead flowers. I shed my skin into a bucket, awaiting its new face when I pour a dye. And then I hope I still have time. I hope I still have time before I go on. Okay.
Yes, please go on, Ojo. Please go on.
Okay.
Yeah, you have 5 minutes, Ojo.
I still have 5 more minutes. Okay,
Yes.
thank you. I want to read this poem, and it is titled Ode to Places I Walk to in My Head. Ode to Places I Walk to in My Head. Before you call me selfish, Remember everyone sometimes seek escape to places they can breathe like themselves. Call it time travel. To places their crimes is theirs to judge. Say black hole. I have no lordship to judge my wrongs today. We are all wrong in our own day. Mine is today. I have traveled the breadth of chaos, traversed between whales of grief and sharks of silence. Silence too is helpless. I seek for a place where I could dwell in a bucket of water, yet not submerged, drowned, or thirsty. And I seek this shelter in the places I walk to in my head. When I sleep, I walk out of my body. I walk to lands where snow suits skin, where sun is a parasol for ice cream, where foals lay eggs, dance around it until it arches. In my dream, everything is taking same shape, different in many ways, yet I walk there when nobody's watching. Okay, we are still moving on. I hope you are enjoying the poem as I look through. I want to read this poem. It's one of my favorite and it is titled Heaven. Hair ripped from my mouth just to crash into ashes. Some men learn to hide memories of air crashes in Jordals, yet the next flight is booked. Only fate can tell you who dies a crash. No, who crashes a die. Forgive my hogwash. We are all airborne. I choose to say that which doesn't bend my lips. Once in the journal of 2005, I was a boy reaching my height through black and white TV set, seeing as parents show the sky photographs, others their gray hair. Where do we start from? I don't know what it means to pent up, stew my emotions like barbecue. But after a decade and a half, this night, I visited this journal of flight and found hearts evergreen with souls. Okay, then I have another poem. It is titled Water Prayer. Today, I sieve the fears in my body into a warm bath water. A bath tube is my skewing ground. Water speaks many languages in a body. I measure my body's span, length times breadth as per in perimeter. Each drop, each measure knows my body like a song sung in dreams. I drench the arid part of my bones with my saliva. Water is a language of meditation. I sieve the air in my throat from my glottis. It pushes the orange tree in our compound to a fault. The rest is rainwater. Water is a language of my transfiguration. My lips outstretches this ocean of sugar, white. My body is white with light, white with sugar, white with water, white water. Then I have another poem titled A Case for Speech. I conjure memories floating on the wings of high life, saxophone in angst and dark melodies like raging raindrops, which robes dead flowers, and the nursery of my heart, plumbered with soil of hope, seeks water for its sick bed. Everything kills here, everything, even the air, bland with inanities that chokes lungs. We are many starved shrubs loaded by few huge poplars, with scavenge for health and light, with withering leaves, lean stems and rotting roots. In this land, our land, everything is death, everything kills. And then let me see if I can read some few more. Okay, let me read another poem. It is titled Definition of Love. Love is a thick cloud of our inkling, bequeathed with fragrance. Its strength rivers soul and sprinkles snow on our minds. With a subtle voice, grasses turn soulful field. Love, a definition relished to it by you. Your definition is not wrong in the way you put it. You're also not right for thinking it is so. Your view is the salt made in your heart. Your insinuations are your mind-felt precept. Love, a sculpture of acuity, a fetus in the wombs of your imagination, a panther on the tree of illusion, a thought in the heights of feeling, a devotion immersed in many ritual. Love is human. Human is love. And then
You
I
know,
also have,
Ojo, have this be your last one if that's okay.
okay,
This next one will be your last one, okay? Thank you.
no problem. Let me just, okay. The title of this poem is A Night in Paradise Street. Called a long wait a pull from the intensity of desire springing from his heart. He asks his woman and let the veil be lifted. Come to bath, he beckons. A smile teasingly takes a shape by the corner of his mouth. He looks closely for the first time and acknowledges how long his sweat meandered. He draws closer, sees something about her that calls trigger every of the man in him. Come to bath with a pull this time. She sees no one except him behind locked door, and she hears her soul telling her, the heart of a man after his wedding seeks that the night be longer and the hold be firmer. On bed, the night begins anew with them cupped into each other. Thank you.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful one to end on. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Ojo.
Okay.
Oh, make sure you're, well, I should get a download of the copy of the transcript for you. So, because I don't know if you're able to read, but maybe you are. I just want to make sure you know there's a lot of comments going on in the chat room and about your work and the poems that you read for us. So someone in the chat room wanted you to talk about your inspiration, which of course I wanted to have you talk about that if you would a little bit. So maybe just thinking about where poems come from for you, or where do you get them? And maybe just talk a little bit about your own relationship to generating poems, your process.
Oh, okay. Personally, I think I started writing because I was so angry. So the only way I could project my anger is by writing. So writing started because I was hungry, and since I could not fight, I felt the only way I could express myself was to write. And then I progressed as a writer. I began to I became preoccupied with other issues like love, as I think everyone once in a while you experience love and you want to document it. You experience heartbreak, you experience disappointment, and then you don't want to lose this memory. For me, poetry is like journaling. It gives me an opportunity to tell my story, and every verse in my poem, they are my own personal story, which I've documented into poem. I do not want to lose any moment. So what I do is that whenever I'm hungry, whenever I'm very happy, I quickly grab my pen, because I realize that that's the best time to write. When I'm hungry, when I'm sad, when whatever moment, I suddenly realize that those are the best time to write, and I quickly utilize that moment. I take it as an opportunity to save my stories. Then apart from that, I read so many writers, and then after reading them, I get inspired. And when I get inspired, I begin to listen to what the writer is not done saying in his poem. I begin to listen to them in my heart, and then I begin to write them down. Sometimes I read a poem and I feel, oh, this writer is not done with this poem. He has only given it out there. And then I decide to continue that poem. Then I listen to my heart over time and try to document them.
You're giving us so many interesting prompts and ways into poems. I definitely think this is, for me, an absolutely fresh idea. The idea that instead of going and having a sandwich, I would pick up my pen. I'm hungry, and that is a really wonderful idea. And that it's become, so it comes from this almost physiological state. You say, I could answer this physiological state, but I'm with a sandwich, but I'm going to answer it instead with words and going into this poem. And then another part of that you said, finishing another poet's poem, feeling, first of all, engaging with it deeply, but then having this sense that, okay, I'm really feeling like there's something unfinished here. And so here's how I would finish this writer's poem. I think that's another really interesting way. Okay, so someone is saying in the chat room that I misheard you. I definitely heard you talk about when you first started writing poems, you were writing from anger.
Yeah.
And anger is what fueled you, but then it's also got you thinking about joy and love.
Yeah.
So did I mishear you when I heard you say sometimes when I'm feeling hungry, I pick up my pen? Was that also?
No, not hungry, hungry rather.
Okay, I guess I did mishear, but next time we're all hungry for a sandwich, we're going to take this idea that I've mangled of Ojo's, which is to actually write a poem. You said this fascinating thing, Ojo, that I picked up on. I think it was a quote from an article about a poem being an outlet for reincarnation and a place where one can always find a phoenix. In some ways, maybe those are really two different ideas, but I'd love for you to take a minute to unpack those thoughts for us a little bit about what you meant.
Oh, okay. When I talk about a poem becoming a place for reincarnation, what I'm trying to say is that poetry is powerful. Poetry is expressive, and the fact that I can always conjure my memories. Like in one of the poems I read there, I talked about 2005, and then when I started writing the poem, I had nothing to write that day, and I sat down in my room trying to get something to write. The memories came so very fresh, even though I was a boy then. I should be in GS1 in secondary school, in high school then, but the memory came so afresh to me. It was as if I was one of those who witnessed what happened at the airport, because what happened was that some students were returning home, and their plane crashed at the airport right before their parents, and they died. And so I tried to conjure that memory. I tried to bring it back. And one thing I told myself after writing the poem is that if this thing can happen 2005 and I'm rewriting this poem 2020 or 2021 rather, it means that their parent, the pain is still very much alive in them. If I, who is not related to them, can still conjure this memory and it is quite fresh in my heart, and I can literally feel their pain, then it means that the grief, the sorrow of their loss in 2005, more than 15 years ago, is still alive. So I realized that it is only poetry that could have reincarnate or bring back alive this memory. So I think I've explained that. Then also talking about, I think the other part of that statement also relates to what I just said. It's the same thing I repeated.
So so the connection, that the feelings are kind of still throbbing, they're alive, they're felt, and
yes,
not really resolved. They're coming again to the surface, and then is that where the phoenix comes in? There is something perhaps that is reborn from the fire of those feelings. That is there some resolution in the idea of the poem is part of the engine maybe of that transformation or that rebirth?
Yeah, I'm more beyond the rebirth. I'm more conscious about the fact that you can be grieving, you can be in pain, and poetry can give you a new perception to your pain. Even though you are sad, poetry makes it possible for you to begin to see joy in your sadness. So poetry is therapeutic, and a phoenix rising from a fire or coming back alive tells you that in spite of your situation, if you give time to writing, especially poetry, it has a way of rejuvenating you. It has a way of bringing you out of the fire of your pain and giving you a kind of rebirth when you begin to see life from a better perspective.
Okay, thank you, thank you. That's a wonderful clarification. And I think someone else in the chat room is asking, Ojo, do you have advice for someone who hasn't written poetry in a long time or is beginning to write for the first time? Christine Radich in the chat room is asking that. Advice
Okay,
for someone who hasn't written in a long time.
Okay, personally, if you've not written for a long time, I think whether you've written for a long time and you've not, as long as poetry is in you, it will always find a way of expressing itself. Just give yourself time, sit down with the creative process, take your pen. I want you to understand that when you have a blank page and the blank page is staring at you and you're staring at the blank page, it begins to look as if there is nothing in you. But when you listen to your heart and you are not careful about how right what you want to write is, you just try to document the thought in your heart. By the time you give it time, you realize that it's, as you continue to write, it begins to make sense. But one key advice I often give my mentees is that when you want to sustain your writing, then you must read. I told them, I said, personally, if you come to me for mentorship, I will teach you the writing process, but I'll give you one strict advice. If you want to go far with your writing, then you have to read others. Reading others not only inspires you, but it also helps you to be consistent. But personally, listen to your emotion. Try to document whatever is in your heart. Do not be conscious of the grammar at the initial stage. Just keep writing what's in your heart and then give it time. Writing needs time, writing needs patience, writing needs you to commit yourself to it. So whether you're starting as a first timer or you've been writing, the important thing is give it time, be conscious with your thought, allow your thought to express itself, and then you'll be amazed by what comes out from you.
Wow, whoa, okay, thank you. As we wrap up, I think that's a wonderful answer, and I think people in the chat room are really appreciating it, Ojo. Can you tell everyone the best way to reach you? People wanted to know about how to know more about your work, and I'm wondering if you have a mailing list. I know that you're working on getting a link to eventually the purchase of your book, but tell us now, and then add anything you want to the chat room. I put another entry for your email address to directly contact you, but people who want to make contact with Ojo, here's how you could do it.
Okay, I'll leave my social media handles, Facebook, Ojo Olumide Emmanuel. My email is also there. Then I think these are the major ways you can get to me.
Excellent.
Then for the book, I'm still working on it, and I think 2 weeks from now it should be available on Amazon and some other bookstore. I will share that with you so that whoever wants to purchase can do that. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ojo. I mean, thanks so much for the beautiful reading, for the generous comments and answers, for being here with us at 9 o'clock in the evening, and for being part of this really unique and wonderful international community. And we hope that you'll be connected and that we will see you again and hear from you again soon.